in the studio today, we got somebody really special. We've got Corantos, aka Q. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
Good. You are a streamer extraordinaire. How can I describe you? You're very knowledgeable on many things. You obviously know a lot about Somalia, which I'm curious about. And other than that, you're also hilarious and you're extremely entertaining to watch. So what's going on? What's your story?
First of all, thank you for the compliments. But I mean, how would I describe myself? I mean, some call me the greatest of all time. Some call me the best streamer that they've ever laid their eyes on. Some call me just a delight. You know what I mean? They wake up, they see that I'm live, and their day's just better. You know what I mean? But what I say is that I'm just like anybody else. I'm a streamer that's trying to make their way, trying to make it, just doing my thing. That's it. Simple.
Puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. So you've been on, you got your own show and stuff. Yeah, I see you're doing something called Kick or Keep. Looks really fun, like a game show. You kicking people off and a lot of people arguing. You debate a lot with Destiny about what's going on in Gaza. What's your official take on Gaza, man? I wanted to ask you.
First of all, shout out to Kick or Keep, the greatest show online on the internet. I mean, here's the thing. I call him Leslie, but for the sake of the conversation, I'm gonna call him Destiny, right? So when I first got introduced to him was through another streamer by the name of Wick. He hosts debate panels and whatnot. And Destiny had this tweet where I guess he was making fun of Islam, right? And then Wick was like, "Okay, I'm trying to organize a panel. I'm trying to organize a group of Muslims, a 3v1, but nobody would accept it." I mean, to be fair, they said that they wanted a one-on-one, right? The Muslims that he reached out to, they were like, "We don't want to do this 3v1 idea that you've got going on. We want to do a one-on-one." I said, "I don't care." 1v1. It ended up being a 2v1, and my partner, his name is Uzumar, shout out to him, ended up showing late. So it was me and Destiny for about 20 minutes or so. We went back and forth, had about an hour and a half, 2-hour debate. It was decent. I would say moderation failed me a little bit. So I ended up DMing him. And I told him, "Listen, I didn't like how our debate went last time because we were talking about Islam and his mockery of it and his disdain towards it. I mean, he claims to just hate all religion, but it just seems to me that as of recent, he's been going at Islam more than any other religion." So I was like, "Listen, you know what? Let's have an actual one-on-one where there's nobody else involved." He was like, "Yeah, sure." And then from there, we had our debate, and we've been debating ever since. Now, when it comes to Gaza, it's funny because when I first got introduced to him and we were debating, and I remember I used to bring it up. This was prior to October 7th. I used to bring it up, and he'd always tell me, "Q, stop fucking asking me about Israel-Palestine. I don't know about this. It's complicated. I was like, "It's not really that complicated." You know what I mean? He's like, "Don't do it. But then after October 7th, it became more beneficial for him to actually, study up on it and look into it. And I always accuse him of this, which is his position on the I don't even want to call it Israel-Palestine conflict. It's not a conflict. There's one side just fucking brutalizing the other side. But his take on it seems to me just a mirror take, an opposite take to what like a streamer like Hassanabi would do, for instance. That's how I see it personally. Because in the beginning, he was much more, I give him credit. In the beginning, he was much more objective. He was playing this centrist role, which again, a lot of people don't like fence sitters, you know what I mean? But at least I could see that he's trying to make an effort to look at it from the Israeli side, the Palestinian side, because again, we're not going to act like, Israeli civilians don't get killed, right? We're not going to act like innocent people don't die on the Israeli side as well. So he was trying to show both sides instead of just being super into one side. But as time went on, it just seems to me that he's just gone full Israel. So that's disappointing, but he's his own man and he can make his own decisions. When it comes to Gaza, it's obvious. I mean, we've all got two eyes. We've all seen what's going on. It's absolutely fucking barbaric. It's pathetic. And to me, the people that try to take this position of, what about October 7th? What about October 7th? Is the most, wait, can I curse on here, by the way?
Oh, sure. Go for it.
Is the most pussy shit of all time. That shit is fucking pathetic. Because people act as though history started on October 7th, right? People act as though, wait, hold on, why are these people attacking us? It's almost
Right.
like we put them in an open air prison and we just fucking control all of their fucking resources and they live basically at our whims. But why would they attack us? We're so fucking nice. And then you have these people that go out and say, you know what? We can't coexist with these people unless we control them. That's the only way things is going to work. So pretty much what you have is one side that pushes tolerance, right? Which is hilarious to me because I've had plenty of debates, right? And I'm monologuing slightly, so I'm going to end it here, right? I've had plenty of debates with plenty of people that were like, you know what? I'm on the Israeli side, but I don't support Israel whatsoever. The only reason why I'm on the Israeli side is because they're the only democracy in the Middle East. They're the only side that champions LGBTQ rights. So you know what? Even if they're genociding a whole bunch of people and just fucking killing everybody, I could care less because ideologically we're on the same side, which is ironic. You know what I mean? They claim that because they're tolerant and because they're progressive, we agree with them. But at the same time, what's tolerant and progressive about killing a whole bunch of fucking innocent women and children that have nothing to do with you and claiming that Hamas uses them as a body shield? And I'll say this. Even if Hamas doesn't exist, which, again, West Bank, we've seen what's going on in the West Bank. There's no Hamas presence there. The Zionists will always go out of their way to kill Palestinians. That's a truth that has never changed. So it's just a tired excuse, and that's all I got to say about it, to be honest.
So what are some of the excuses that you do see? I mean, you spend some time on the internet. What are some of the excuses that you hear Zionists and stuff use in order to justify what they're doing?
Oh, the first and most prevalent one is the human shields argument. It's
Right.
like, we got to attack these people. Because when you bring up the fact that the ratio of civilians to combatants that the IDF is killing, their first go-to is, the IDF, the Israel cares about civilians. We care about these people. You know who doesn't care about them? The Hamas, the people that are using them as body shields. In fact, I had an argument with Loner Box. I don't know if you know who he is. And I'm not making this up. He genuinely said, you know, a lot of these civilians, they want to be martyrs. They want to be martyrs. Like they want to die for these combatants. Because when he was making the argument of human shields and whatnot, I was like, wait, hold on. So you're telling me that Israel kills these innocents that Hamas is using as hostages? Because that was the argument, right? The argument is Hamas uses them as hostage. They use them as human body shields. I was like, so is this against their will? So you're telling me Israel recognizes that these people are not willingly offering themselves up as human shields, yet they're like, we don't care. You're held captive by these people. You're held hostage. You're doing shit that's against your will. Yeah, we're still gonna kill you for it. We don't care, right? And then he was like, no. A lot of times these people want to do it. I was like, wait, hold on. So is it like, so are they innocent civilians, or are they basically accomplices at this point? So it just becomes dark because I've seen plenty Zionists dehumanize Palestinians and pretty much treat them as less than subhuman, right? He's like, at the end of the day, it's about furthering their goal. That's what it is. It's about furthering their goal. And when it comes to coexistence, they don't believe in that. They don't believe in that. They want a one state, or at least they want, you know what, you live under our control, just like in Gaza. They want to turn the West Bank into Gaza pretty much, where it's like, you know what, we're just going to displace all the Palestinians there. We're going to push the illegal settlements, and nobody's going to do anything about it. The international community, to be fair, I'd say this when it comes to the international community. The average man, me and you, pro-Palestine. And that's what I've seen, at least. Social media, even IRL, just going out, people are pro-Palestine. When it comes to these companies and these government bodies, a lot of them seem to be pro-Israel. I mean, you've seen the what's his name, the congressman that was wearing the IDF uniform.
Sure.
Oh, that's fucking ridiculous. That is ridiculous. But you have Ilhan Omar, right? Who in her speech wasn't like, I'm an agent, because people misinterpreted that. She wasn't out there talking about, I'm an agent of Somalia and I'm trying to push the Somali agenda in the United States government. But they twisted it in that way. But then you have little congressmen that are wearing IDF uniforms as representatives of the U.S. Matter of fact, the man literally fought in the U.S. Army, but he's wearing an IDF uniform.
Yeah.
But nobody bats an eye.
Yeah. So 60% of the Democrats voters say that they're in for the ceasefire and stuff. They don't want to see any more war, and people are pretty sure that it's a genocide. Most liberal leftist voters, but the establishment isn't saying that. The establishment is saying no. And so the question is, what do they know that we don't know about that strategic placement in the Middle East? Like, are we at risk of losing that, and then the empire crumbles, or what? Because it reeks of desperation, does it not?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to realize the one reason that the United States is backing Israel is just because it's their greatest partner in the region. That's it. And you want a partner to be in that region. It's a very, like, we've seen them make deals with Saudi Arabia. We've seen they make deals with the UAE, but you can't really have that much confidence in it. But with Israel, like, Israel and the United States go hand in hand. You know what I mean? They go hand in hand. As long as the US is good, Israel is going to be good. That's it. So Israel is always going to go out of its way. And this is what makes me disappointed. Because truly, if Biden wanted to, this conflict could have already ended. It could have already ended. He could have brought both sides to the table and an agreement would have been reached. It would have been reached. But he's not interested in that. I mean, I seen this thing where he was like, after what was it? After the attacks on the camp that killed a few American soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if an American dies, we're gonna go and, like, we're gonna fight for them. Da, 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 da. But we've had the journalist or the photographer in Gaza get killed.
You're right.
American. Nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck. And it's insane to me. It's like, the fuck is going on? To me, it's like, do you value American lives, or do you only value them when they see things your way?
This is classic racial supremacy, and you got white people are on the run, you know, on the global stage, and they feel it, and all the rhetoric is reflecting that. You know, you got Ben Shapiro. I was just reading about how much, think tank money Ben Shapiro got to start the Daily Wire and start his whole empire. It's a frightening time.
It's very beneficial for them. It is for your career. It is very beneficial to take that pro-Zionist position. Very beneficial. You're not going to gain much benefit of saying free Palestine. You're not going to gain much benefit from doing any of that. But those that are super pro-Zionist, and here's the thing: when people listen to a conversation like ours, a lot of times they use the pathetic card of anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism is not the same. It's not the same. It never has been the same. Never will be. But I want to know your opinion, honestly. Why do you think people conflate the two?
It's what I understand about is it's a political football that gets kicked back and forth because it's any way to evade responsibility that preys on our emotions or anything like that. And it works if it's, like Henry Kissinger, if it works, do it. It doesn't matter if it's ethical, right? The nation state comes above all else. And so they'll say whatever they have to say. And, having the Holocaust drilled into our heads as a real fact of life where people got exterminated and it was a whole horrible thing. We know this. In third grade or something, they showed Schindler's List and just shocked the hell out of all of us kids. And so we know this. And in exchange, we're not to question anything that Israel does because that would be considered anti-Semitic. And that's the last thing you want to do because you know what, Liam Neeson did to all those Jews or whatever. It's not an excuse, and it's a way to evade responsibility, I think,
I agree totally.
Yeah. So needless to say, we're in a pickle. We're in a bind. Humanity, I'm a misanthrope myself. I think humanity's sort of doomed. It's a doomed, failed experiment sort of circling the drain, but I'm still waiting to see maybe there's some redemption. But with all the existential crisis going on, I mean, what's your take on life in 2060?
I'll be honest. First of all, the complete opposite. I believe in humanity. I think it's pretty awesome. You know what I mean?
Good. Because I actually need people like you in my life, for sure.
Yeah. Because, I mean, first of all, the way humans are today and our condition and our quality of life, just literally 50 years ago, we're already doing 100 times better, right? So I just believe that, as long as we keep living, we'll always keep moving forward. Things are always going to improve. And you know what? To be honest, negatives do happen. There's always detriments. There's always like garbage around us, but it's what we focus on. It's what we give our attention to. It's what we choose to see. Because I've had plenty of people in my life that their life was great. but they chose to focus on the negatives. That's it. I mean, when you look at people in general, they're so pessimistic, yet their body doesn't convey it. Their actions don't convey it, right? Because truly, if I felt that, okay, this life is not worth living, we're all doomed, I would move as though we're all doomed. I would start acting as though we're all doomed, but I'm not. So how much do you really believe in what you say, right? Because I believe life's great. I believe tomorrow's going to come. So I'll work towards tomorrow, right? I'll work towards tomorrow. I'll work towards, bettering my life because that's what I believe in. So I think in the year 2060, to be honest, I'm going to have like at least 100-foot statue somewhere. You know what I mean? That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. You know what I mean? That's going to happen. That's going to happen. We're already saving up the money, guys. Sub up. God damn. Right? And yeah, I believe in, call me crazy, right? But I believe, much like Elon Musk, which we don't agree on a lot, but one thing we agree on is having as many children as possible. Now, he already has like a 10-0 lead. You know what I mean? He has a 10-0 lead, but he's also like 50, and I'm like 24, so I got some time to catch up. So truly, what I would love is to be a 60-year-old man with a whole bunch of kids and a whole bunch of grandkids. Just still looking forward to tomorrow, even at 60 years old. That's my hope. Now, when it comes to flying cars or technology, listen, I kind of agree with you. It's looking fucked. I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
The technology, the side of things it makes me a little nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, and I know this is just going to sound cliche and it's already been said 1,000 times, but truly, it's like some Black Mirror shit where in the future we're just going to be more virtual than we are like just living our regular lives. I mean, truly already we are. We're talking through this platform. We got a camera pointed at us. I'm like technically right now, I'm alone in my room. Nobody else is here and I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? If you really think about it that way, really, right? We use our phone every waking second, right? We're always glued to some screen, like fucking cyborgs already. So imagine that. Like we've seen I don't know if you've seen it, but Elon Musk tweeted out that his Neuralink chip was used on a human for the first time recently.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Saw that. Yeah.
So it's like in the year 2060, and I don't know, shit's going to be totally different because we're already starting to head that way. Because like my father's in the 60s, right? When he was born, just using your regular iPhone was insane, right? Using your iPhone was insane. That was like a technological leap beyond their comprehension. So the year 2060 is going to be absolutely fucking insane. And I don't know if I'm prepared for it, but I'll definitely be one of those boomers that don't use technology. So I'm all good. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
Eventually you'll say no to technology and go out in the woods and, live under a tree.
Yep.
I like your style. Man. But yeah, as far as individuals go, I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I have fun. I talk to a guy like you. We're having fun. This is great. Got my dog back here. She's awesome. Life is good on a day-to-day basis, but there is some concern, like, AI, for instance. Like, what's the buzz around people about the dangers of AI?
I feel like it's overblown, in my opinion, right? And it's not like I'm the most educated on the matter, but there's a difference between artificial general intelligence and just artificial intelligence. So for instance, the artificial intelligence that we currently have relies on a pool of data, right? So it's not coming up with any original ideas or unique ideas. It's coming up with shit that is already being created, right? And just putting it together. Because at the end of the day, ChatGPT is never going to be smarter than you, right? Never. Because ChatGPT can't come up with shit the way that humans do. Right, it's always pulling its shit from Google or from the data that it's given. The moment we get to artificial general intelligence, it's like on some Terminator vibe, like the thing is damn near sentient. That's when I'll start freaking out. Me personally, I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is weird. You know what I mean? This is weird. But I don't believe we're close to that. Yeah. Maybe it's going to happen 2060, maybe, but I don't believe currently we are close to it. And right now, as it is, it's way more of a positive than a negative. AI, just technology in general, I still believe it's way more of a positive, but we might hit a point of diminishing returns. We might hit a point where, it comes to bite us in the ass. But for now, AI, not a worry.
Yeah. We've got things like AI using, they're looking at x-rays so they can find cancer faster, and boop, 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 fast, better than the doctor's eye. But on the other hand, you have also the first person killed by a autonomous drone was in Africa a few years ago. And so it's a double-sided sword. I think we might end up getting poked with both sides. We'll see. But speaking of existential crisis, I also wanted to ask you, because you're a bright guy. What's with the rise of the incel community? I've been studying this a little bit. Why aren't men getting poontang? What's going on?
It's funny, actually. I had a video on this 2 years ago about red pill and blue pill and all that stuff.
Right.
And one of the YouTuber that I was covering, I don't know, he reached out to me randomly a few months ago. He's like, yeah, let's have a conversation, but never materialized. I'll say this. I don't even necessarily think it's about, whether you could give punani or not. Honestly, I don't think it's about that. I think it's just a mentality issue. Because I feel generally that a lot of these men, first of all, I have this theory: nobody's ugly. I genuinely, truly believe this. I've always believed this. Nobody's ugly. You just need to work on yourself. Okay, you weigh about 300. Listen, you're almost a beluga whale. Maybe stop with the goddamn donuts. Put down the Krispy Kreme. You know what I mean? Put the gun down. You know what I mean? The gun-shaped donut I'm talking about at YouTube. Relax. But truly, it's like you could work. There's always 1 to 5 things that you could do that bumps you up from wherever you see yourself to where you actually are. So nobody's ugly. So get that out of the way. It's your mentality that's the problem. A lot of these red pill people have convinced themselves that it is something that they deserve, not something that they earn, right? There's nothing that's deserved other than, I guess, your human rights, right? But you gotta work, right? You gotta work towards, attaining a partner. You have to work towards these things. But sometimes, unfortunately, people are led to believe that, as a man, it's your right to get whatever woman that you want. You don't need to put in work. And you know what? Let's say you want a traditional sort of wife, but you don't have to be a traditional male, right? And that's confusing in itself. Now, when it comes to the rise of it, I always believed that they were there in the shadows, just lurking. You know what I mean? They've always been there. But I guess since the pandemic, there's been a lot of free time on people's hands where they're just home doing nothing. And that's when the whole red pill movement really started ramping up, in my opinion. Or Fresh and Fit and those sorts of guys. And even Sneeko had his, change, because he wasn't this way previously. Even though he did abandon the red pill movement, I'll give him that much. He did abandon it. But honestly, my solution towards the red pill people is stop consuming red pill content. The more that you go out there, right, and actually experience life. For instance, you should never, you tell me if I'm wrong, you should never be on Tinder, fucking Bumble, Hinge, whatever the fuck these platforms are. Go out. Go out and fucking actually talk to women, IRL. You know what I mean? Because it's just simple maths. When you're online, this woman, I don't give a fuck if she looks like a fucking stick man. If she genuinely just puts a drawing made by a 2-year-old, she'll get at least 50 swipes. This is guaranteed. I've seen videos on it where it was a woman shaped like a circle. I saw it was just a circle. You know what I mean? It was fucking 2 eyes on the top and a mouth. You know what I mean? It was a circle. And then the other one was a fucking supermodel dude. And the woman had fucking 10x his wife. She had 40 or 50 and the dude had 4 or 5. It was fucking insane. So never put yourself in a position. What did Peter Thiel say? Competition is for losers. Don't be a fucking loser. Do not compete with these people. Go out in public, because guess what? When she sees you in public, when you see her, it's more than a fucking flimsy text message. You're there, your demeanor, your charisma, your attitude, the way that you carry yourself, all of that translates. So even if you're not necessarily a 10 out of 10, right? It's all these other things that just come together that boosts your score. And plus, you're there, it's a one-on-one. So you already have a hand up on everybody else. So that's what I believe. It's just a change in approach to how they talk to women, a change in what they watch. All of these things put together, I'd say, eliminates 90% of all red pill people.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a science, people. It's fairly easy. You just go up and talk to them like they're human beings. And eventually, you'll have some success, I'm sure. I mean, it's very Very easy, and it's easier than I expected too.
You know what's funny? I believe what's the equivalent of a red pill woman? I mean, I know women could be red pill, but
I don't know.
Yeah, there has to be something equivalent to it. What's it? Okay, so a man is a misogynist, a woman is a what was it? Misandrist or something?
A prude or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody who's
femcel. There you go, Chad.
Femcel.
I swear to God, I believe there's like when it comes to incels and femcels, there's a fuck ton of femcels, but nobody gives a fuck. Yeah. Nobody could care less. Nobody could care less. And that's what I actually am super curious about, because our incels are already well known. You know, incels and the way that they carry themselves and the way that they move and what drives their thoughts. I mean, truly, most of it is just low self-esteem, is desperation. We understand all these things. But with femcels, nobody could give a fuck. A woman could be a femcel and everybody, you know, especially if she's hot. We could get into pretty privilege if you want. If she's hot, bro, she can fucking have 300 bodies. And when I say bodies, I'm not talking about sexual partners. I'm saying like she's a fucking serial killer over here. And people are like, oh man, well, she's good looking. You know what I mean? Oh, she's hot. I swear to God. Why? Why do men... See, here's the thing. And this is why I want to go at men a little bit right now.
Yeah,
Men, like, they tend to bitch about certain women. But the only reason why that type of woman even exists and is prevalent in society is because of men. Men are the ones that are just pushing this sort of woman out into the public. So, for instance, let's say when it comes to sex work, right? A lot of men are like, "Oh my God, this is fucking disgusting. This is abhorrent. This is nasty." But at the same time, anytime that they fucking see a woman online, they're like, "Yo, show us your tits." Like the fuck. Like, okay, so you complain about sex work, but you want women to show you your tits. Now, I'm not even saying, because here's the thing. Some people are like, wait, you're anti-sex work, but you probably watch porn. A lot of people say that, right? When they're using arguments against people that say what I just said, right? But here's the thing. You eat McDonald's, you still know that shit is unhealthy for you. So that argument is a non-starter. You know what I mean? Just because somebody says, yo, sex work or pornography, these are negatives. These are bad. Wait, you can't say that if you consume them? Bitch, I eat McDonald's. That shit is ass. I'm not fucking saying that it's great for you, right? So you gotta fucking understand these things. You gotta understand these things first and foremost, right? So the hypocrisy comes from not you consuming it, because what you do behind closed doors, I don't hold that against people. I encourage you, if you're doing some shit that you're not proud of, do not announce it to the public. Keep that to yourself. Because when you announce it to the public, then that's you fucking up. In my eyes, that's you fucking up, right? Because now you're not ashamed of it. Because what you're ashamed of, you keep behind closed doors. But these people that are so anti-fucking, you know, women just objectifying themselves, you know, showing their bodies for money, da-da-da-da. But you're the one that pushes women to do that every single time you see one online. Like, you see one just playing League of Legends, relax in her shirt, just like mine, and like chilling. Yo, show us your tits. Yo, if I gift you 100 subs, you gonna show me that ass? That's fucking losers right there. Those type of men, I'm fucking exhausted. I'm sick of them. And with the fucking femcel women, again, the reason why we don't talk about them is just exactly how we don't actually put a lot of weight on women pedophiles. We don't. When like a teacher sleeps with her student, you go to the comment section. Oh my God, where were these teachers when I was growing up? Oh my God, man, I got the fat, ugly Miss fucking Samantha, whatever the fuck. Well, they got this fine ass woman that's willing to sleep with them. Oh my God, I would have never snitched. But if it's a man, bro, he could be Brad Pitt. Jail. A death penalty. So we just got to look at the double standard side, because people view it from one way, right? They're like, let's focus on the incels. Let's focus on why men seem to have much more rights in this patriarchal society versus women, right? But at the same time, we got to look at this side of the conversation as well and understand why these things go on. So all I'm saying is double standards exist across all sorts.
Yeah, and I think that no matter what, right now you're seeing this pull to the right and pull to the left. Men are going right, women going left, and at the same time, nobody's getting laid, and it's just a shame.
I mean, have I heard about women say that? I don't think women would struggle with that just because of the male desperation.
The natural thing, where they got everything.
Like men would sleep with anybody, anybody. But with women, women I don't think have a problem with it, but men, honestly, it's confusing to me. It's confusing.
There was a study that they did back in the day about societal collapse, right? When there had too many people, or in this case, mice. They put a bunch of mice in a room and gave them enough food. But when they were officially overpopulated, what happened was all the women mice stopped fucking the alpha males.
Mm.
And I always think about that study in regards to the incel community, because are we at this point of overpopulation where the females look around and say, well, we got enough people on us, so I don't really want to like go there or whatever. But I also read that there's this thing with the gig economy. The United States deindustrialized a long time ago, and they sold all the steel mills and all the auto places. They went overseas and everything like that. And since then, our economy has moved from strong factory jobs where men would work to like gig economy, and service industry stuff where women are more prevalent. So I think men may be having a hard time. This is what I heard anyway, that men are having a hard time finding purpose and work, and they're sort of emasculated in some way. But
so we went from, I guess, in the good old days where women had to marry men because men were the breadwinners and they were the ones going to work and doing all that sort of stuff, to being in an age where women could just equally work alongside men and make the same money and just live the same life. So therefore they don't need men. That's a valid argument, to be fair, but is marriage only transactional? That's what I think about. It may be. It's a genuine question. Is marriage only about, okay, I need to get with this person because this person right here will be able to provide me a decent living?
Oh, it's love and transaction. But everything between human beings is a transaction, is it not? Like the
yeah, but when it comes to like financially, okay, so I'm just thinking about it as, okay, this man gets me a house, a car, this, that, and third. It allows me to go shopping every once in I mean, is that how it's currently seen?
Yeah, I mean, this is what they call symbiosis. When one creature's got something that you need to live, and in exchange you give them what they need to live, and then it just so happens to be harmonic in this way where you're symbiotic. You work together. I need to make kids, and she needs, a breadwinner. Boom.
I mean, in this day and age, I feel like, this is at least in the cities and most developed countries, where like they don't want to procreate, they don't want to have kids.
Yeah,
that's not an issue that exists in, let's say, Africa, for instance, because people are. I got like 16,000 cousins. You know what I mean? I got 16,000 cousins. I can't even start naming them. You know what I mean? We're good. Shit. I'll tell you this. I met my cousin. I was like, "How old are you?" It's like, "I'm 20." I was like, "Well, okay, so you're younger than me." It's like, "How many kids you got?" It's like, "Yeah, I got 5 kids." It's like, "What?
Oh.
The fuck?" "Yeah, I started at 16, man. I'm married, and then boom, I got the business." I was like, "The fuck?" I was like, "Bro, I'm 20." I know when I tell them I'm 24, they're like, "You're not married? You don't got kids?" They're like, "Brother, you are late." They like, forget it. They hit me with the red pill. They're like, "I'm about to hit the wall."
Right.
You know I could have kids. You know what I mean? I'm not like a woman. It's not like my fucking shit's gonna dry up. What the fuck? But it is insane. So they're like, with the whole kids thing, poorer people tend to not worry about that sort of stuff, whereas people that have a lot of resources, it is kind of wild, because people that have a lot more resources, right? They tend to think, and ironically, in ways that you just described, which is like, I'm pessimistic about the future, because honestly, the more free time you get, the more humans start to just like fuck with their own heads. That's what I believe, right? The more free, because if you're just worrying about, how do I make my next dollar? You know what I mean? If you're worrying about how do I put food on my son's table, on my wife's table, on my daughter's table, like, how do I do these things? You don't have time to sit there and ponder the fact that humans are fucking moving on to AI, fucking Terminator style. Now you're like, fuck that shit. I'm trying to work. And also, the more kids, the more likelihood of having adults, 18, it's an investment. They grow up, 18 plus. now they could work for you, and now they're the ones that are bringing money in, and that's how you uplift yourself.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
Dude, I think you just nailed it on the head in the most funniest way I could have put it. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, I'm under the impression not that I'm total feminist and all this stuff, but at the same time, I realize that the modern world has done nothing but alienate us and make us sort of sterile and weird. And, it doesn't seem to be great. But on the other hand, when I was poor, I had the most fun. I was the most open, and I certainly didn't have any time to worry about existential crisis. I'm trying to worry about where I'm going to shit,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
In a mason jar, and then don't. No, I was just being gross.
I tell you, I think of shit. I was going to my village in Somalia. I think of shit at the fucking like it was in the desert. There was nothing around, and then I grabbed a bush. It had thorns on it. The worst fucking. I'm telling you, like, because I'm not accustomed to, the fucking papa squat and take a shit. Listen, my glutes, you know what I mean? My goddamn fucking hamstrings, my calves, it's not that developed. I'll be very honest with you. So I was right there. I was like, I was trying to shit. And I was about to fall back into my own shit. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit. I grabbed that, cut myself in 1,000 pieces. Yeah, that was terrible. But guess what? Yeah. Am I thinking about fucking AI at that moment? No, I'm thinking about don't fall into my own shit. So honestly, I believe there's a point where you might be well off, but at the same time, your mental is the one that's taking the hit instead of your pockets. That's
it, man. I think for every 1,000 more you make per month, the more fucked up you become in the head, maybe. Like, because money really does have some wild effect to where the people who have the very most money on earth, well, they're the most fucked up, Yep.
Yeah, because we spend most of our time just chasing it, honestly. But when you have an abundance of it, I mean, you've seen. I've seen Adin Ross, the streamer.
Right.
He's 21. The guy's probably made north of 100 million. I believe that.
Yeah.
And the guy's rich. He's rich as fuck. And he's talking to his friends. He's like, man, I'm 21. I got all this money. He's like, it feels so empty. It's like there's nothing for me to do.
Dude,
whereas kids at his stage are going to university or at least graduating and fucking doing all sorts of shit.
And no disrespect to the young man, I think he's a nice kid and everything, but he couldn't even pronounce the word authoritarianism while he was reading and stuff. And I was like, buddy, send this. You got $1 million. Go to school.
No. I'll say this. There's humor encoded into that shit. I'm telling you right now, he's not serious about it. Maybe that's just me giving him more credit than he deserves.
Maybe, yeah.
But I truly believe that. That's his humor. That because again, it gets people talking, it gets people laughing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to your point, though, I've heard that in the United States, the quality of education has just fucking fell off a cliff. It's terrible. Like I've heard teachers say, "I got 7th graders, but these kids can't even spell because." You know what I mean? They're they're at a 2nd grade level at most. So education has fucking fell off extremely.
Yeah. Oh man, education's in a rough shape, and you know what? They're trying to privatize it too, which is not going to make it any better. Where the private corporation is going to try to come in and own public school and everything, and they've sort of been trying to drain it. In the UK, they got the NHS, which is the National Health Service. Everybody gets free healthcare. Whoop-de-doo. Well, they're purposefully fucking with the NHS, so it looks like it's mismanaged, so that they can privatize it and have corporations come and do the capitalism thing. Well, they're doing the same thing with the schools in America right now. They're saying, look at these teachers. They're trying to teach your kids about gay people. Isn't that a shame? We should, change something. And the education sucks. Something like 70% of all people in the United States of any age can only read at a 6th grade level. Like startling amounts of illiterate people. The literacy rates are going down. The life expectancy is going down. The tuition rates are going up. The wages are stagnant. It's kind of bleak.
Yeah, do you think the system failed?
The system failed. Well, one of the takes is that capitalism failed because it's this monster that can't be tamed. And if it's like you ever play the game Monopoly, at the end, somebody's got all the money and everybody else is just totally fucked. That's pretty much where we're at. That's what they would call late stage capitalism. And seems like we're there. I don't know. And I feel the air and stuff. It just feels like it. I don't know.
Okay, so you'd say you're not a capitalist then?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, if you regulated it correctly, we'll go for it. Make sure that there's no environmental degradation, and also make sure that people aren't starving and living on the streets, because that's like a public health issue anyway. Other than that, try to keep the corruption down to a minimum, and let's try not to poison the atmosphere. How about that?
Wait, let me ask you a question. Are you a vegan?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm one of those vegan idiots.
Okay, tell me.
Sock it to me.
Why are you vegan? Because I could assume, you know what I mean? I could assume. See, I know why it sounds crazy. It's like you tell somebody, hey, I'm this way. But why are you this way? It sounds like, the Ugandan, you are gay.
Why?
Why are you gay?
You're Somalian? You're Somalian? Why?
No, but okay, stop. It's not equal. You know what I mean? I'm born. Now I sound like those people.
Okay, yeah.
It's crazy. No, stop. But
okay.
You actively made the choice. You weren't a vegan, and you actively made the choice to change your diet and to adhere to veganism. So why would you do that? Is the question.
Who's interviewing here? Who here? Come on.
I'm just curious. We're having a conversation. I'm just curious.
No, I'll tell you the absolute truth that I ate meat for most of my life. I grew up in a fast food restaurant. My mom was poor. We worked. She chain smoked, blew smoke in my face every day of my life. Worked at the Dairy Queen for 40 years. I grew up on meat, hamburgers, hot dogs, you name it. Over time, I became super open to whatever people would feed me, because I was just hungry. I was homeless or whatever, rolling around trying to play musician, trying to play Jack Kerouac or whatever. I ended up eating lentil curries and stuff like this, and it just sort of turned me on to the idea that, well, you could eat vegan. But honestly, early in life, I liked animals. Like, I thought that they were cool. I saw people go fishing and then they'd hit them in the head with a hammer. I was like, well, that doesn't make me feel so nice. And so I just sort of had this ingrained in me. And so I'll tell you the truth too. I took LSD when I was in my 20s, and I sat down on the floor and I could see my dog's face, and I just totally realized at that moment that this thing with these shiny eyeballs was just like me. It had a spinal cord, it had feelings, it grieved, it played, it did all that stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try to treat you evenly. But it wasn't until like a few years ago where I said, you know what? My wife's vegan. She's been vegan for 15 years. She watched me cook meat all the time. I'm cooking pulled pork and stuff. She's like, yeah, it smells nice. And I just did it. And honestly, I feel stupid for not doing it sooner, because it was easy. And there's ethical considerations. The animals, yeah, that's good. Love animals. It's also like the climate thing. Like, we use an incredible amount of land to grow livestock food and give it to these guys to get an inefficient amount of protein. And then at the end of the day, we got to kill these poor guys, which they're sort of cute. Cows are like big field dogs, basically. And then again, if you're not into the whole animal rights thing, then there's this whole thing about health. Like, meat has saturated fat. Any fat that is solid at room temperature, okay, is like thick fat that will get clogged in your arteries generally, And so if you eat saturated fat, you're more likely to have heart attacks, have diabetes, and also have inflammation. Turns out that the saturated fat in meat will give you inflammation. So it turns out beans, like, I'm not talking about Beyond Burger. Don't go eat Beyond Burgers. I'm talking eat beans and rice. Boom, you're vegan. Every day you got your protein and your rice. It's a full amino acid profile. You're good to fucking go. So there's these trifecta of reasons to go vegan: for the animals, for the environment, and also for your health and your arteries and shit. And so I'm sort of on that train of thinking, wow, there's only 1% of the world is vegan. So this is like, I'm on the ground floor of something kind of exciting. And just by default, because I don't know, because I was.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So is it all animals? You know what I mean? Is it all animals? Because I've spoken to vegan gains, you know what I mean?
Right. I saw this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, do we care about the cockroach equally as we care about the dog, for instance, or the cow?
Yeah, that's a great question. You asked a really good question to him, and I think that he answered it okay. Like there are levels and tiers of sentience. Like if you have look, when you go to the grocery store, you'd want to eat something that resembles the least another human being, right? And meat sort of resembles a human being, so I go for the vegetables. But in the case of the cow,
hold on.
But
I can't let you get away with that point. How does a cow resemble a human being? How?
A cat?
A cow. A cow.
Cow.
How does a cow resemble a human being?
When it's cut up and put in the styrofoam dish, they look eerily similar.
Okay, so let's use that argument. If I were to bring together, like, I don't know, 50 cockroaches, and I were to grind them up and form them into like a burger, right?
Ugh.
Does that resemble like a human being that I cut up and turned into a burger after I minced his meat? Pause.
Well, loosely.
So now we've established that one cockroach is okay, but 50 cockroaches are murder.
That's crossing the line. Yeah. No, but it's a spectrum. Obviously, most hardcore animal rights would be like, no, we don't eat anything that moves or casts a shadow. No, that's not really my personal dogma. Like, I don't have a big dogma about it. In fact, sometimes on vacation I'll eat cheese, but don't fucking tell anybody. But no, I mean, look. Cockroaches, they're not exactly like us people that have, we're vertebrates that have spinal cords and we're sentient in the sense we have a central nervous system. There was an argument for a long time. Are lobsters, do they feel pain? And everybody said, no, they're fine. We throw them in the pot. They don't feel a thing. But we found out recently that they do feel pain. But there are other animals like spiders where they don't feel pain, but they have, if you touch them, they have a sense to pull back, but they don't feel pain in the traditional sense where these messages that we know, like humans, when you stub your toe or somebody gives you, what fur right in the eye, you feel that in a way that's exactly similar to what a cow feels right before he gets popped in the head,
So it's not sentience. It's about, okay, do you feel? Do you resemble a human being? Do you have like, I don't know, a nervous system, a spinal cord?
Nervous system to where you'd pinch here and there would be nerves there that would send a message to your brain saying, ow. And that's enough for me to say, okay, well, if they have that, then I'm not going to eat them.
So, okay. You do understand though that, okay, so you might not eat anything that has that, but maybe non-vegans, they'd eat that, but both of you have no problem, I don't know, stepping on ants, on cockroaches. Okay, so let me ask you this. Pretty much what I'm trying to say is, like, you might have your line here, and your non-vegan might have his line here, but that's about it. There's not that much that separates both of you, is what I'm trying to say. But let me ask you this. If a rat, for instance, came into your house, and like, what would you do?
Well, I have been known to kill mice or on accident or whatever. Like, I've played with life itself. Like, I caught mice in a mousetrap and fed it to a pet snake and stuff. And it was more brutal than I even really expected. And I said, I kind of regretted it, but, no, and I have my line too. If an animal attacks me, oh, well, forget it. The whole thing's off. I'll kill you. I don't give a fuck if you're what species you are.
That's fair.
But no, there's if there's a lot of them, if it's an infestation, then it's war, right? But
so you're not necessarily like one of those vegans that's just like, it's all life, I gotta protect it. Or like Vegan Gates, for instance, when he was like, we gotta kill all the carnivores, for instance. Like, I believe in protecting animals, but you know what? I want to kill like fucking billions of them, pretty much.
Yeah. No. See, that hurts the whole movement. See, these are reactionary young people getting all up on themselves. Life is unfortunately more complex, where you can't make these sweeping sort of judgments about everything all the time.
That's fair.
I used to
also,
be the same way.
When you said farming, like real quick, I want to go back to that one. You said it's inefficient. It takes up a whole lot of land. I mean, if you want to like fucking grow tofu or like fucking, the plants that you'd be cool eating, that also takes up an immense amount of land as well, right? Yeah,
and that's a really good point that you're bringing up. And it's been addressed before. I know a lot of vegans understand that, 7% of all the soybeans grown in the world actually are eaten by humans. and that's tofu, right? That's pressed tofu and edamame and everything like that. The rest is for animal food. And 75% of the soy grown just in the United States is for animals. So it seems like, and they've done studies, they say, well, if the world went vegan, you could actually free up something like 60% of the world's land, just because we wouldn't be having to feed all these animals. Now, 99% of all the meat in the United States is factory farm, which means they're in dark barns eating grain, basically, that's grown in a field the same way, or soy or whatever like that. And we need to cut out the middleman, which is the animal, and just eat the soy, because the soy is protein. We're feeding protein to the animals to get the protein from, the animal, if that makes sense. It's just inefficient. And then there's like water usage, how much the cow needs to drink, how much water you need to use to make the food for the cow, and where the cow stays, and then the shit that it leaves behind. And, in places like Nebraska, there's hog farms that just have hog piss, lakes of hog piss, and tornadoes will come through and pick up, gallons and gallons or liters and liters, wherever you live, of hog piss and dump it on a, poor unsuspecting town down the road. It's not great what we're doing.
Is it okay? So if you had like meat that was like ethically farmed, right, instead of these factories that just fucking zap the chicken or whatever the fucking keeps like 100 of them in like a tiny space, would you be cool with that?
That's a tier above factory farming, right? That's more humane. At least they had a good life. They got fed macadamia nuts and beer, and they were massaged all day or whatever. That's a tier above. But what the contention with vegans is that there's no such thing as ethical slaughter. And I sort of agree with it, because how can you, it sounds like an oxymoron, like ethical slaughter. I killed him, but I did it real quick and nice. It's like, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, we should probably avoid shit like that. I don't know.
Would saying as a counter argument that, listen, nobody lives forever, right? They would have died regardless, and we provided them the best possible life, and we gave them everything that they could ever fucking have, like to the greatest quality, and then we killed them. Like, wouldn't you say that's
better,
much better than like if we just left them and then some fucking coyote like fucking came out and like ate the goddamn thing? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Sure, it's a good point. It's a good point, but at the same time,
as a chicken, I would take the first option. Me personally, I'm just saying. I can't speak for the chicken. You know what I mean? That would go against veganism. You know what I mean? The chicken has a voice, so like, I'm just saying, I would take the first option.
If the chicken had a voice, he'd probably just say "bokok." But no, I think you bring up a good point. But ultimately, I think it's slightly better, of course. But there's this whole thing with grass-fed beef too. Like, oh well, let's all let them free onto the pasture, and then they'll be better, and then we'll just walk up behind them and kill them quick. There's not even enough land to provide the amount of beef that we currently eat in the world.
The land argument is a bit weak, though, in my opinion, because we're not really efficient with the usage of our land, anyways, to begin with. Like, if you were to take out the land that's used for farming, we still have plenty of land that we don't touch. You know what I mean? We still have plenty of land that we don't fucking build on.
That's the difference between land and what they call arable land, which is land that they can farm on. And here's another thing. I go on a tangent or whatever, but the sort of industrial agriculture that we do that involves chemicals, harsh chemicals, we sort of kill all the microbiology in the soil. We spray it with pesticides. We spray it with herbicides. It becomes depleted, and then we have to come back and spray it with a liquid fertilizer, like with liquid nitrogen and stuff. And we're trying to play catch up with the soil. And in order to keep the soil healthy, we need to keep spraying these chemicals. So this is why they're deforesting most of Brazil to grow soy for beef, is because when you cut down a forest, the soil is awesome. It has what they call humic acid in it, and it's totally built up over the years from leaves falling every year. The leaves fall to the ground from the canopy, they compost, they enrich the soil. The soil is dark and rich and full of nutrients. And then by the time they've grown soy over it for a few years, it's depleted again. And so they have to cut down more forests. So they keep on cutting down more forests. Now, we could avoid that big time if we took better care of our soil. Now, this goes back to the whole thing about how many animals or how much land are we using to feed livestock to eat for food. It's a lot more than we actually need. I'm telling you, we could free up 60 to 70% of our land if we went vegan just by stop growing crops for animals to feed, Yeah.
Let me ask you this. To close off the topic. To close off the topic, it's the last question.
Hit me, Q. Hit me.
Is the last question. Do you think it's achievable? Do you think it's something that is possible to have, I'd say not even all like carnivores, but like 60%, 50% just become vegans?
Well, there's a study that says after 25% of any cultural movement, the rest follow in suit. So the idea is that we're at 1% of vegans in the world right now. There's a lot more vegetarians, by the way. India is full of vegetarians. There's like maybe 1 billion vegetarians, whether by choice or not, but because they're poor or whatever. But after 25%, everybody else just jumps on the bandwagon and just follows like good sheep, And that's typical of humanity in that way. And I think once we get to 25%, the rest will follow suit. It is an imperative. I think that it would help a lot, but also, God, I'm you know me now for an hour, Q. I'm a misanthrope. I'm not too sure that humanity has the, what it needs to do the right thing and look out for itself in the proper way in this sort of ecological, biological, hey, let's not poison the environment kind of way. I don't know if we have that mechanism to stop us, but if we did, I think it would be great, honestly. Everything that I've read. And, here's the thing, kids is out there listening. I was skeptical too when I went vegan, but the truth is I looked at all the research and it turned out to be totally fine and turned out to be actually a good thing. And so that's why I said I felt dumb for not doing it earlier. But I miss barbecue. Oh man. Barbecue, cheese, hot dogs, all that.
I'm just saying, I think it's impossible. I mean, never say never, right? Never say never. Yeah.
But let's equate self-discipline, which was what I had to go through in order to achieve veganism, was just say no to some of the things that gave me instant pleasure. That's self-discipline. Well, let's equate that with the masculinity that everybody's so wild about, that we want to be tough and strong. And
you're trying to do that Jedi mind trick. Right. Go ahead.
Men are the ones that really want to fight against this idea where we come from. A lot of people come and say, well, you got to be compassionate. And men just go, I don't give a fuck about compassion. I will compete with you and I will destroy you. But if you're talking about masculinity, we want to talk about self-discipline. You want to talk about karate and stuff like this. There's an angle to be played there. And I'll tell you one other thing. You can look him up. His name's Patrick Babuiman, and he is one of the world's strongest men. And he's vegan. And he just made a video game where you free animals from factory farms in like Unity or whatever. Cool guy. Really cool guy.
I think I appreciate what you tried to do, but when it comes to masculinity, it's not me, but I would believe that most men would say the least masculine thing is for you to just give up meat. You know what I mean? I'd say, sure. Like you eating meat and you being masculine, that goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? That's how people see it. So nobody has ever thought, what, let me envision the most masculine man that I could possibly just imagine. Yeah, he's a vegan. I don't think anybody on earth has ever had that thought. You know what I mean? Shout out to, sure. I've heard of a strongman, like a guy that competes in the strongman competition that's like a vegan. I've heard of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying that vegans could obviously be strong, could obviously build muscle or all these sorts of things. But at the end of the day, I'd say honestly, maybe I'm tripping, right? But meat is a lot more accessible than vegetables, even to like poor communities. So that's just how it is.
Well, beans and rice are the most available staple food on Earth, right? They're the most available. Here's the thing about meat versus beans. Like beans have no saturated fat, and they also have fiber. and protein. Meat has saturated fat and no fiber. And so it does clog up your colon to some degree. But the other thing is meat goes bad right away, and you can get parasites and worms and microscopic E. coli, stuff like that. And you can get really sick eating meat that's just been sitting out for 2-3 days. But beans, dry beans stay good forever.
I gotta stop the meat, this propaganda against meat. You know what I mean? Because throughout human history, we've had a whole bunch of people that were just consuming meat, and we're all good, and we're all here. You know what I mean?
That's true.
If it was detrimental to our health, right? If it was something that was killing us, we would have stopped doing it. Because as humans, what we do is evolve. Like, we recognize, okay, this is not working. We got to start doing this. Okay,
right.
This shit is not helping me drag my fucking stone, so I'm going to fucking invent the wheel. You know what I mean? That's how we are. So when you're telling me, man, this meat shit is killing you and worse than the meat, and something that I think we should talk about is because the meat slander is crazy, right? But what we should talk about is the fucking microplastics and how male testosterone compared to the fucking 60s into the 70s, like our fucking testosterone today is equal to like that of a fucking elderly man back then. As grown men when we should be in our prime, you know what I mean? That's an issue right there.
I can't speak to testosterone, but I can speak to sperm counts. Sperm counts are declining 52% globally since maybe 1990 or something, or 1980. But sperm counts, men out there listening, dudes, bros, my homies, your sperm counts are declining rapidly, and especially in the Western world. And they really think it's because of, like you said, microplastics, you nailed it on the head, and also pesticides, herbicides, stuff that goes into the agriculture system. And BPA, which is like some bipolyphenol, I forget, I think it must be a plastic byproduct. But yeah, that's a thing that's happening. And also estrogen is being released into the water through birth control. Everybody knows that women take the birth control, they flush it down the toilet, it goes through their system, it goes into the toilet. It never, ever breaks down. There's no filtration system that can really get rid of it. And so we're being exposed to questionable amounts of estrogen through the water supply. So we are going through some interesting ecological changes in that way, but I won't say exactly, maybe that's why people aren't getting laid. I don't know.
No, listen. You're getting there. If you keep going, I'm just saying they might come after you. But I'm saying, yeah, truly, the water that people consume, the food that they eat, whether it's vegan, non-vegan, that's the thing that's fucking with people the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's fucking with people the most. And honestly, even though there's more information out there today, I feel like people are less educated, if that makes sense, because we don't bother looking into these things. We don't bother like actually researching, okay, what's going into my body? Because if we see that it comes from a brand that's super famous and that has a lot of money behind it, we're like, it must be good for me. It must be safe. There's nothing wrong with this. It's like the whole thing with authority. If somebody with authority tells you, fucking shoot that guy, you're like, oh, well, okay. You know what I mean? We just, like you said, sheep. I guess that's like ingrained into us in some ways, right? Where we just like tend to follow what everybody else is doing, and everybody else is just cool with eating whatever the fuck that they're fed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but that's why I'm telling you, the developed countries, right? The developed countries.
Yeah, develop.
Yeah, exactly. As time goes on, I don't think that, because Japan is not able to maintain their birth rates is like fuck. So they're gonna get cooked. They'll eventually just open up to everybody else, because right now it's like 98% Japanese. Yeah, by 36, I could guarantee it's not going to be 98% Japanese. I could guarantee that much. Like, it's unfortunate, but if people actually knew what was going into their bodies, I think that would be the case.
I think same in Germany right now. We got all these old people. They're about to keel over, and then there'll be this great wealth transfer or whatever, and then the rest of whatever, Islam will come and do their thing. There's all this racist rhetoric about, well, Islam's taking over. It's like, I don't really give a fuck. Islam could come over here and hang out. I don't care.
Doubly mans. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down.
I like what I hear. What I hear. You know what I mean?
I'll hang out with you. I'll hang out with you guys. What about you, though? I mean, look, I wanted to ask you about traveling and stuff. Where you been?
shit.
Tell me the
Greatest
story.
nation on earth. The greatest nation. I want to start off there. The greatest nation of earth, Somalia. Shout out to Somalia. I mean, listen, a lot of times people have this misconception. Okay, oh man, Somalia is just fucking dump and like you can't live there because again we just go off of what's on the news, and I'm not going to say it's all sunshine and rainbows. I'm not going to say it's like the greatest fucking place to live and it's all safe, and it's no, it is rough, but there's a lot of beauty there. And guess what, fucking 20 million people live there. So if it was this fucking unlivable fucking wasteland, you would have known because it would have been 20 million people living there. It's dope, it's great. Culture is dope. The food is fucking amazing. I'm telling you, like I'm in Malaysia right now. Not for me. The food here is not for me. And you know what's funny? It's not even like the traditional food. Like they're fucking
Kanjiro, Mufo, Basto, Kanbulo.
Okay, is it no? When it's a C, it's spelled like so it's not Kanjiro, it's Anjero.
Ah, okay.
There's a funny story behind it, which was like we wanted to use Arabic as our language, but I guess this was in the 70s. We weren't able to get the printers that had the Arabic letters. So what we did was turn English into Arabic. You know what I mean? So for instance, like some letters, because we only had access to the English printers, right? So some letters that are like in Arabic, that's like an there isn't an equivalent of that because there's K in Arabic, there's like an equivalent, right? But doesn't have an equivalent. So we're like, okay, we'll put a C and an A together.
Oh,
and then boom.
Wow.
That's how we do it.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place, other than the fact that, you know what's crazy? People blowing themselves up. I feel like a lot of people just look at that as unfortunately, it becomes your new normal, especially when you grow up there, right? I didn't. I grew up in the UAE, right? But my cousins and my family, everybody that I sit with, it's normal to them. Oh yeah, there was this bombing that happened. I recently saw a video, like there was a football match going on, and there was explosions outside of the stadium. Nobody moved. Nobody moved. I swear to God, not a single person moved. They're like, yeah, fuck it, bro. Look, this game is going on. I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, that should never fucking be normal. I was like, that should never fucking be normal. I was like, fuck this shit. This is not normal. And even when I was there, it was like, I remember for my stream, because I was doing an IRL stream over there, right? My cousin took me to a place that just a few hours prior, there was an explosion there. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. First of all, a guy just strapping bombs onto himself and running into a place and blowing himself up, that will never cease to like fucking blow my mind. Yeah. Like, who the fuck finessed you? Like the thing is, I don't think they even like. Are they giving a bunch of drugs? I think when it comes to like the climax, which is blowing themselves up, they are. But prior to then, when they're being indoctrinated and all that type of shit, they're not. They're just simply told, "Oh man, listen, you're gonna be promised heaven." First of all, I'm not trying to shit on these people that are blowing themselves up. You know what I mean? But I kind of am. I kind of am, because you fucking believe some dickhead is going to promise you heaven, but that dickhead is not in heaven. Like, think about it. If you're promising me $1 million, you got to at least have $1 million. You know what I mean? At least you got to have $1 million. And you have fucking this dude that's telling you, hey, man, if you blow yourself up, you're going to go to heaven. Then why didn't you blow yourself up, dickhead? You know what I mean? That's my first question. But unfortunately, a lot of these people are uneducated. And where you could see that is the areas that this terrorist group, Al-Shabaab, right? The areas that they control, nobody knew shit. They didn't know how to read. They didn't know how to write. They kept them as uneducated as possible. So to me, the greatest way that you could combat these sort of things is through education. Just teach people. Because at the end of the day, if you're equipped with the knowledge to know what's right and what's wrong, right? Or just to know. You don't even need to like establish right or wrong. You just know. That's enough for you to never fall into these traps. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of my family is big on education. Even in Somalia, they push it through the government and all that sort of stuff. I believe in it too. I mean, I'm a graduate. You know what I mean? I didn't just give up fucking university to be a streamer. I'm like, I didn't fucking do that. I started my last year. and I didn't stop. And I fucking had 20,000 word assignments due in 2 hours. And I was still there fucking streaming League of Legends. Like a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? So I just believe in education. And you know what? Honestly, I went to my high school. I finished it in Somaliland. Right? Which is like an autonomous region that's trying to separate from Somalia. They were fucking intelligent. I swear to God, every single one of those kids, they were they were smarter than any of my classmates in the UAE. And I had some smart classmates in the UAE. First of all, these guys memorized the entire Quran from front to back before they even start school. And then when they start school, it's just heavy shit. They're super bright people, super like clever, super intelligent, but they never get the opportunities that, you know, I, for instance, was afforded. And that's a shame. That's disappointing. So I feel like we lose out on a lot of smart people just because of life and circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, that's my whole raison d'etre is talking about how my existence could have been greater had I had access to free education. My brain, how wonderful I am or whatever, could have been put to good use rather than rolling around, you know, doing drugs, committing petty crime. But so this autonomous zone in Somalia, is this like better infrastructure, better education? Is it?
In this region, Somaliland is, I wouldn't say it's more developed. I wouldn't say it's more developed. Actually, in fact, I'll say the opposite. It's probably slightly less developed. But but the most important thing is safety. It is much safer. It is much safer. It is much safer. Because again, I spent 2 years there, and for the past few months I was in Somalia. You're way more on edge in Somalia. Way more on edge. Because I remember the street that we used to take when we was going back home. One of the days, somebody left a fucking bomb there at the intersection. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the type of shit that you gotta worry about when you're in Somalia. But Somaliland, you don't get that. But it's very, very, very boring. There's not much going on there. But you know, in Somalia, it's busy. People are all over the place. It's like an actual city. You know what I mean? Because I was in the capital of both. I was in Hargeisa in Somaliland, and I was in Mogadishu in Somalia. Yeah, Mogadishu's lit. You know, people are active, moving all over the place. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I like that.
Is there a history or sort of a hatred for any like Western countries or French? Or I mean, somebody must have colonized Somalia at some point, right?
The north was colonized by the British. So Somaliland was colonized by the British. The south was colonized by the Italians. That's why the Somali language has a lot of Italian in it. And my father was born during Italian colonization, actually. So he speaks Italian. He speaks Italian a little bit.
That was Mussolini's thing, right?
What was?
Did he come down? Mussolini came down from Italy to invade Somalia during World War II. Is that true?
Shit. I don't know. Maybe. Shit. I just knew that they were colonized by them. I knew that much.
Probably.
I know that our fucking food and our fucking language is mixed together. Like, there's so much Italian. So, for instance, borso is bag in Somalia. Borsa is bag in Italian, right?
Funny.
And then our, like, the fish, the pasta, all that sort of stuff. Italian. There's so much Italian influence. Like when you go to the restaurants in Somalia, like the waiter comes up to you and just starts popping off like in Italian. We got I'm like, the fuck is all of this? It's like, okay, just give me the normal shit. I don't know. I mean,
forget about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like a whole bunch of Italian over there. But yeah, so but in the north, when it comes to the British, yeah, there's no influence whatsoever. So the Italians were more influential.
I like to learn. You taught me something new today, Q. And yeah, it was 18th or 19th century, so the 1800s. They came in and started fucking with the Somalis. Very nice.
We still got a bunch of their castles.
Oh, that's good. At least they built you something.
No, but it's like broken down now. But it looks sick. It's on the coast. It looks sick though. It looks like
You
I
guys
was
got
next to one of them.
this like world famous beaches and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, our beach is beautiful. I was there actually during one of my IRLs. Like some fucking soldier decided to like just empty a fucking clip. Or is it called a magazine? I don't know. Just like, but it was fun. It was fun. It's just shooting it into the air. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
I mean, I like somebody who's got a story to tell. I love that. Well, what's up? Let's do this again sometime. What do you say? I mean, what do I got to do to get on your show and get kicked out right away?
Let me think about it. I mean, honestly, the only thing you got to do to be on Kick or Keep is be opinionated and be able to like speak your mind. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: a lot of times people come on, they're like excited, you know. They're like, okay, I think I could bring X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3, da da da. They go on right there for like an hour. They don't say a single word.
Oh yeah,
because they're afraid. They're like, oh my god, I'm in front of like 10,000 people. I'm in front of 10,000 people. I don't know what to say. A lot of people freeze up. I don't know though. Listen, when it comes to like stage fright, I'm a pussy. You know what I mean? You put me on a stage in front of 5 people, I shook myself. But you know, whether it's 10 viewers, 100, or like 100,000, it's just a number on the screen, to be honest. So it doesn't move me. But a lot of people because I've had people, you know what I mean, such as yourself, tell me, yo, let me come on the show. I was like, all right, put you on the show. I swear to God, one of them, he didn't say a word other than his name. In the introduction,
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I understand that this is a lively situation, and also you got to understand, I was a musician. Like I played on the street. I was a street musician for a long time. I got no problem with eyeballs on me. In fact, that's what I'm going after. Right? Is this idea? I got my own channel. Shit, look at me. I'll say some shit. Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely consider it. I'll definitely because you know how to carry a conversation, and as long as you bring in, you know what I mean, that passion, I think it'll work.
I'll get loud. This is my show. I am staying civilized, but I'll come on your show. I'll be fucking obnoxious.
Okay. And listen, as long as you don't talk over people, I don't care if you're obnoxious or not. It's more fun that way.
But that's the show. I watch the show. That's all it is.
No, that's not the show. It's annoying when people fucking see people did this misconception. Don't push out this fucking narrative. No.
Yeah.
Keep. It's not about fucking people yelling over each other. They just do it actually because they're like, they get triggered for no reason. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a reason, but I tell them not to do it. But at the same time, I kind of encourage it. I'm a dickhead, I know. But like,
it's fucking entertaining, you know, at the end of the day.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
Well, look, I'm going to get out of here. It's 3 a.m. in Germany. It was great talking to you. Hit me up. I'll join your Discord and I'll check you out. I'll be stalking you, all right?
All right, there we go. Thank you for the conversation. It was fun.
Yeah. Let's do it again soon, all right?
100%. All right. Take care, man.
Ciao, man.